live. The camera's too high today. Well, you can see that. She's great. Microphone. All right, I have the microphone where it should be. Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. Hi. What's up? How are you guys? Another week, another stream. Let's wait a few minutes for people to get here. And hey, there's a few of you already here. Bob, how are you, Bob? Maddie, what's up, Maddie? Patrick, hello. Hi, everyone. We're gonna have a nice topic today. Really good topic today, I think. It's gonna be good. So let's just wait for people to get here, and then we can start with this thing. What you guys been up to this week? Hopefully you've been using Tab 2. Tab 2 was pre-release last week. It's doing pretty well. Hey Marcos, oi. Hey Marcos, it's doing well. I fixed a bunch of stuff this week already. A new update is going Friday. Friday is the day that we're gonna be releasing the updates. There's a bunch of fixes already, new things already on the tool. It's working really nice, actually. I actually might do a little bit of a report video about it every Friday. I don't know. I have a bunch of work, a bunch of stuff to do. What you guys been up to? Rigging in Houdini, yeah, that's pretty cool. Having issues with follow curve IK. I haven't used that in a while, so I can't comment on it, Patrick. Sorry. Yeah, it's been a while since I actually got sit down and rig in Houdini. I want to do that, but I haven't done it in a while. I've rigged before in Houdini. Marcos, some new thoughts about Linux and Houdini. Linux and Houdini are the perfect match. They are really cool. It's the best way to use Houdini. Bob, starting to model Star Wars ATST. That's pretty cool, man. Very cool. Papixa, all the way from South Africa. What's up? Marcos, no, I'm not using Fedora anymore. I'm using Kubuntu. Fedora was giving me issues, and it's probably my setup. I have a bunch of stuff, but yeah, I switched to Kubuntu. I have been using the latest kernel, and I have a really stable system right now. Alrighty, so let's start with with today. Let's I have a new layout here. Let's see. Hey, now you can see your live chat there. Cool. Looks alright. Any new about H17? Nobody knows. All right, so I'm gonna remind you guys about Tab 2. Tab 2 is the tool we pre-released last week. It's name your price. You can name your price, pay whatever you want. The minimum price is 25. That price is only gonna last until the pre-release, which might be 2 or 3 more weeks. So if you wanna get it cheap, get it today, or you won't get it at that price anymore. The tool is pretty amazing. It's doing pretty well. I have a bunch of plans for it. If you didn't see the previous version, the previous week, we did cover a lot of stuff about Tab 2. So see that. You will totally want to get it after you see that video. There's so much that it does. It does a lot of stuff. Are you under NDA? Yeah, I'm under a few. So Tab 2, Bob, is this tool. It's basically, let me make this bigger. Is this tool that I created to create notes. You can see you can create notes here. It's pretty cool. This week I added shortcuts like just type AW to attribute wrangle, just an N to null, PW for point wrangle, for we'll list all the for each nodes. So yeah, it's pretty cool. I was actually recording a tutorial earlier today, and I was just using the default tab, and I was just clicking so much. Like to create a material, I have to create material and then put it there and then connect it and then click here. That was like 5 clicks. With Tab 2, you just select the node, material, enter. That's it. That's it. Just makes working faster. So yeah, Bob, if you didn't see last week's LearnDay, go check it out. Tab 2 does a lot of stuff, a lot of things. You can even launch tools from here, Sublime, launch other applications. It does a lot of things, and it's getting bigger and bigger every day. Every day, guys. So if you guys want to buy it cheaper, get it today, or in the few weeks that it's gonna be at that price, because if not, it's not gonna come back. The price is not gonna be that cheap anymore. I created a bunch of stuff for lights and stuff. Yeah, I fixed a bunch of things this week for Tab 2. If you want to get Tab 2, you want to get a Tab 2, go to, if you go to the main page, our main page, you can see there's a link at the top. Just go to mixtrn.com and then click the link there at the top. There's a link there up here. So just go to our site and mixtrn.com, click there, and you can get it today. All right, so let's talk. I was having like a discussion with I can actually, let's put the link in the chat maybe so other people can see it. There we go. You can just click there. I was having a back and forth on Facebook about HScript, and I said I was thinking like, that's something we can talk about, because HScript is really useful, and I think it's been left behind a little bit. Let me move my camera a little bit. There we go. There. Okay. It's been left behind a little because VEX has all the attention these days, and people don't know how to use VEX. No. People don't know how to use HScript, and you should know how to use HScript. It's amazing, and it helps you automate a lot of stuff. So if you don't know what HScript is, let's pull up the content the help for Houdini and see what they say in the official help. Let's say HScript. HScript. So if you don't understand what I'm saying, that's what I'm saying. HScript. I moved my window. There we go. So let's make this bigger. This doesn't say exactly what HScript is. HScript's language guide. All right. So HScript, it's a language that comes with Houdini. All right. Let's make this bigger. Okay. Let's see if there are any. It's really similar to what VEX does, but this is used for parameters and linking stuff together. Okay. Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff you can do. I do like I do even some rendering with HScript, which is kind of my poor man's way or the freelancer way of having a render farm. But yeah, it's really simple. It's really cool, and it doesn't say here what it is. It's just the reference here. Let's see. Okay, but we want to see some examples, and I think the more basic example is when you, let's say, have a sphere, and let's say you want to have the sphere the same radius as the torus here. You will do like copy this parameter and then paste it here, paste the relative reference, and then this thing is HScript. All right, this parameter here. Let's just copy this thing to let me open Sublime maybe. I'm not sure if I have VEX here in Sublime. No, I'm gonna have to open code and just create a new file, make it just VEX or whatever. Ah, that's the wrong thing. Let me copy this here. Okay, and make it bigger, right? Make it bigger. Settings, just give me 1 second. 36 should be big enough. Yeah, you can see that, right? Okay, so this is HScript. Let me make it a little bit bigger. So this existed in Houdini before there was Python. Before you could code VEX directly, there was HScript. All right. Yeah, Marcos, they say they want to phase out HScript, but HScript is still around and it's still very usable and it still does a lot of the things that VEX doesn't do yet. So until VEX does exactly what HScript does, it's not gonna go away, because you can't link parameters like this with VEX. That's not possible right now. So there's a bunch of stuff that it's not gonna be done. You could replace HScript with Python, but that's not fun. You need to type a lot more code to do the same thing with Python. So that's why it's not so fun right now. If they take it away later, we're gonna need to have everything that we had with HScript, unless so yeah, this is here that they're for new scripts, we recommend using the scripting API instead, which I guess it's gonna be Python. Yeah, but HScript, it's still really useful, and it's not gonna go away soon. I don't think it's gonna go away soon. And yeah, as I said, with using Python, it's too convoluted to do stuff, and you can still use it. If they take it out in a year, well, we can still use it for that year. Hey, Nodeness, what's up, Mary boy? So we're gonna use it, and this is HScript, all right. So this when you link parameters using the relative reference path here, the relative reference command, it pastes HScript. So what this guy is doing, it's saying, oh, I can do that. Cool. So this is saying there's a function called channel or ch. Okay. So basically, this function is called ch or channel, and it's getting a channel. And Houdini calls all the parameters, all these guys. Houdini calls them channels. So if you want to get some of these parameters, you just put your mouse over it, and you can see the name of the parameter is there under parameters, rad x, rad y, rad z. So you can actually call those names with the channel reference here. You can see right here in this expression, what it says is here inside the parentheses here, or the brackets. If we search the documentation for this, let's find ch script commands ch. Let's find ch. Why is ch not here? ch. Man, it's really difficult to find them. I want to find ch alone. Ch. Oh, here is here's the expression function. So you can see this returns a value of a parameter. So that's what it's doing. So in the help, it's really cool that because it has examples. So you can see here it's expecting a string. Let's say if it says that here somewhere, doesn't say the uses, but yeah. So here it's expecting a string. The channel is expecting a string that it points to a channel. All right. So whatever it is on this channel, it's gonna put it into the other channel. Basically, it's just making a link. If you use something like After Effects, they have this like a twirly thingy that you drag to other parameters. That's what it's doing. It's kind of making a link. So you can see when you do that, the channel turns green, and then it shows you the expression. If you click on if you click on the name, you can toggle the result and the expression there. So you can see the channel now, it's evaluating to 1. So if I go to the sphere and to the torus here and change the value that we linked, let's say 5, now you can see the sphere, it's getting that same value. So that's one way you can link stuff together. Let's merge this to you guys so we can see the result. But also you can see this is not actually being, it's not the same size as the torus. If I wanted to make it the same size, I could even add maybe the radius from here, or just add whatever to this expression, add 1 or add 2. You can see now the sphere, it's whatever value it's evaluating there, it's adding 2 to it. So If we click here, it's now giving us a 7. So now whenever we change this guy, these guys are linked, right? But this is just having a 2 here, so it's looking weird. All right, so that's one way you can do it. You can also just double click here and drag these guys and set relative channel, and you can see it just links those 2 channels together. I do this a lot, like, so let's say with a grid. If I want to change the rows and the columns, I just double click here, relative reference, and just link those 2, and I just do that. Just modify one value instead of modifying the 2, because most of the time you want a grid with equal, with squares, equal number of amounts of rows and columns. So I do that a lot. And but there's a lot of stuff we can do. Can we use expressions in DOP to send some data, especially in RBD DOP? Yeah, there's a lot of expressions used all over the place, even in DOPs. In DOPs, there is expressions to get objects from subs into DOPs. But yeah, there's some stuff you can send for sure. All right, so this is one thing that you can use. Also the one thing that I use a lot is group create. I have always this expression here in the group, which is op name and a dot there in single quotes, and that just means whenever, instead of typing a name here, I just put the name of the group here, objects group, enter, and that means if I middle click here, you can see the group gets the same name. If I actually middle click here, you can see it mirrors the name that I put here over there. And I have that always saved as a default, just by putting the expression there, and save as permanent defaults here. And you can get that always when you create another new node. It will be there all the time. So I do that a lot. And we're gonna talk about why this guy has like backticks here, because this is a string attribute, but we're gonna talk about that in a little bit. But yeah, HScript, it's very, very useful. You should be using it. And you can get a lot of stuff, like, let's create a geometry node. And let's say we're gonna assign, let's call this, I don't know, wall 1. And then we're gonna create, let's say we're gonna create 10 walls, right? Node nest, I don't use $OS because $OS it's stupid. $OS, a lot of people use $OS, but $OS it lacks a lot. You have to recook the node to actually evaluate the name. So when you change the name, it doesn't change the name of the group until you recook the node. So it's not good to use $OS for that, actually. So don't use $OS for groups. You can use it for other stuff that it's gonna evaluate every frame, like naming a file, saving a file to disk or something like that. But don't use $OS for groups, because it's stupid. I can show you that it's stupid. If you use $OS, we can see what the object name is, object group. If I change the group, it changes here sometimes it doesn't. It breaks sometimes. So I don't use $OS because sometimes $OS doesn't know exactly what to do. It fails sometimes. So don't use $OS, actually. Don't use $OS. Don't. Yeah, it had failed me a bunch of times, so that's why I don't use it. So let's say you want to add, let's say you want to create 10 walls. and each wall it's gonna have one different shader, a different shader for each wall. Let's create a box here, and let's just resize the to 5. Now the LearnDay A, it sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes it doesn't update the name. So that's why I don't use it, because it's not reliable. You can't just trust it. So let's say we're gonna use wall, and let's say I want to create 10 walls, but I want to have different objects, and I want them, let's say I want to move them, let's say along the z-axis. I could actually just duplicate this and move it by, let's say, how much do I need to move it by? Let's say 2 units, like that. And then I can create another one, and I can move it again to 4, right? But that's not the Houdini way, let's say. You could get actually the number here in the name. You can get it with an extra expression, and that is called up digits. And here this is expecting a string, so it's expecting what the digits of what node. So let's just say with opening quotes and a dot, we're saying this node. If we do that, this will get this number here. You can see if I click there, there's 1. So if I create another wall, you can see it automatically moves there to the next place. If I click create another wall, create another wall, create another wall, create another wall. So that's pretty cool right there. But let's say I want to say up digits plus 1, so I want to move them. Let's call this 0, so it's at the start place, and create 1. Did I added 1 to it? It should be 2, 3. I need to add more then. 2 to it. All right, so I didn't I didn't modify in the first one. Add 2 to the to whatever I'm getting from here. So I can do this, and I'm gonna start getting more walls moved. So let's just make this wall thinner, because it's just not getting separated. Just so we can see that we have different walls. Okay, you can see, there we go. So that's one way to do it. And this is, sometimes you need to do this because let's say that each one of these walls is going to have a different material. Let's go to the materials, and we can say let's create a principal shader. Oh, why am I using that? Principal shader. And let's call this, let's call it the same. Let's call it what? Wall 1. And we have, like, let's say 10 of this. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And all these materials are different. It's going to be different for each wall, maybe. Now I'm going to have to change the color, right? Let's change the colors really quickly. I'm just gonna do 5 because I think that's gonna prove the point. I'm not gonna change all those values. Green, and this is gonna be like that. So now, what if we want to assign all those shaders? Well, we can get this name of the object as well here in the material here. Let's assign the first one by hand and see what we need to change. Let me expose those materials. Assign the first one. So that one is gonna have is the first one gray? Why is it not showing? Weirdo. I know. No, why? I don't know why. Should look blue, right? Weird. Weirdo. I don't know. It should look really blue. It's not looking blue. I don't know why. I don't know why. If I render this, it's alright, but I don't know why it's not showing here in the viewport. Is it that we have different? No, I don't know. Okay, so I want to know now. I'm using. Did I disable something? Nah. Whatever. All right. So we have this material, and we want to assign the same material. I mean, different material for number 2. This shouldn't be the same material. It should get the same name here. So instead of using this in the wall here, since we know we named it wall, we can just say get the up name, or we could use $OS if you want to, whatever. Let's see if it's that. Let's create a new scene view. It's not that. It's not that. I don't know what's happening, but it's not showing me the colors. You can use up name if you want. I mean $OS. I don't like to use $OS. So let's get the up name again. To that, and now something is wrong here. You can see if I middle click here, it's not evaluating to the name of the node. And why is because this is a parameter that is expecting a string, not a number. All right. So this is not expecting a number. And whenever you're trying to write an HScript expression in a field that is a string, you need to put first the back quotes here. And the back quotes, let me see, the back quotes is the little tick that it's under your escape key if you have that in English, in your English keyboard. Now if you wrap that in back quotes and back ticks, now that it's going to be evaluated, and then it's going to put the result in that field, right? So it basically says first evaluate this and then just put it here into the string. So if you middle click here, you can see now it's saying wal1, and that is just like whatever, dude. What is that useful for? Well, if we just copy this guy now up to 5 and we render it, because Houdini doesn't want to show us the shaders today. You can see now each one it's getting its own material. So basically you just assign all those materials really quickly. Don't need to go through each one and say I assign number 2, assign number 3, assign number. And if you just middle click here, you can see what that expression is being evaluated to. So that's another way to use HScript. Another really useful thing is using it when you are doing like AOVs. So let's create a mantra node. Mantra. And let's go to create maybe some AOVs. And let's say that I'm gonna save these guys somewhere. So let's put this some path here. Let's put a name here. I'm pretty sure I'm in my okay, I'm in my home folder. That's right. So let's say that I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna put this into a folder. Let's gonna call this beauty. This is gonna be the main path, and I'm gonna call this beauty. dollar f4.exr, right? So that's the path that I'm gonna save that to. I didn't say AOE, I say AOB, which is AOB. So that is arbitrary output variables, and it's, some people call them passes. Houdini calls them extra image planes. So it's just passes that you render out for compositing, like the C depth, the diffuse, the shadows, the AOB, all that stuff. The AO, sorry, separately. So when you are doing that for compositing, let's put this down. Let's say that we want to do one, export it with the color. This is going to be the color. Let's say that I want to do another one. Let's add five of these guys. So the first one's going to be the color, CF color. The second one, I'm going to add, I don't know, the C depth. And another one's going to be the direct lighting. This other one's going to be indirect lighting. And the third one's going to be the shadows, because you can never get enough shadows. Direct shadow math. It doesn't matter what you're getting here. We're just getting something as an example. So most of the time, actually, when you render AOVs, you need to send them to different files, because when you're doing this in compositing, you're doing it because rendering is very heavy. So if you're rendering a very heavy scene and you want control over it in compositing, it's because there's a lot of elements, or it's rendering, the rendering is pretty slow, so you need to tweak it in compositing and stuff. So most of the time, for studios, you need to render the different passes in different files. I know some people use an EXR file with all the passes inside, but that sometimes is really complex, because if you have really huge files, and in studios we most of the time work actually always you work over a network. So moving all those files over to Nuke or Fusion, this huge amount of passes in one single file, it's very heavy. So sometimes it's just the best way to deal with that is just make the different passes different files, because if not, you're just passing all this amount of data all the time. Even if you don't need the passes, you are just using it, which is really ineffective. So you can check this, turn on this checkbox here to send this file to a different, this pass to a different file. So let's turn that on for all these guys. And so now let's say that you have, let's say this is variable. If you put your cursor here, you can see the parameter, how that is named. The next one's going to be exactly the same name, but 2, etc. So let's say we can compose. Let's what I'm trying to do here is get a file name, but it's going to be automatically, basically. So let's get let's put the same file name that I put here, just to have the same path. But instead of, this is not going to be the beauty path, so this is going to be this variable. So we can actually copy and paste here. Select this guy, select this text, and say a relative expression. And now it changes that. It just replaces that with an expression, which is getting the name of this. And you can see now. Let me copy this to the text editor. You can see now, actually, let me leave this there. You can see now this is different. This is a channel string. So this is basically getting a string attribute here. So it's specifically trying to get a string. So because this is a string attribute, so we are getting that here. So basically, if we middle click here, you can see the result. It's getting render, and then it's going to create a folder called CF. Hopefully you're seeing already the advantage of this. So we can grab the same thing here and put it into the pass here, the name of the pass, like that. And now the only thing you need to do here, it's just get, let's try to find a way to get the number here. How could I get the number? I don't know. So this is, I do this, and then I just, if I don't want to automate this more, sometimes you don't have too much time to automate stuff. You can just say, just change the name of this to plain 2, and it's gonna just get this guy. So it's pretty quickly to do this. There's an issue here. I missed a back tick there at the end. So just make sure always to middle click here to see that it's actually evaluating to whatever you want. If not, it's not gonna be working. So if you have like, I did not want it to do that. All right. If you have like 5 passes, the only thing you need to do, don't want to close that, is just copy this guy and just change this for the current pass. I'm sure there is a way to get the current pass number here, but I'm not gonna do it right now. So this is gonna be really quickly and really useful, and there we go. So I'm done, and I don't want to save. So what did I do here? So I'm creating a folder and a file name using this parameter. So if I actually rename this parameter, if the compositor tells me like, oh, this has to be called cdept, okay, I just rename that, and this is gonna change to the correct thing. So that's pretty useful as well. It saves you a lot of time, and it's just pretty useful. It's pretty useful to use these kind of stuff, things here as well. Actually, I don't want to name this one. Sorry for that. I don't want to change that because that's the variable. What I want to change is here the cdept, and I actually did it wrong. This is what I actually want here instead of the variable, because you can change the variable. So this is called what BM channel plain 2. Just change the variable instead of that to channel. But yeah, that's a way that you can get a lot of passes really quickly, really fast. Just really quickly getting a lot of stuff done quickly, really efficient. And this, it's gonna, when you're working on a studio, it's gonna make your life easier, a lot easier. Also, sometimes I use this a lot when rendering. That's what I'm showing you examples on rendering, because you can see actually mantra, when you create the mantra node, it does show the $OS variable there, and that's useful in mantra. It's useful because it's going to evaluate the node every time, so OS doesn't fail here, or it hasn't failed me. You can actually use $OS here if you want to render different passes. Let's say we're going to use, let me create another one. Let's say if sometimes you render different objects with different mantra nodes. So let's call this mantra. Let's say this is going to be the AO, or this is going to be a different object, like let's say mask. I don't know. Maybe you're rendering a mask or you're rendering a volume separately or something like that. And you want to create a file with this, you can add it here with $OS as well. And again here, $OS. $F4 is also an HScript. So this is just evaluating the current frame, and the 4 means put a padding of 4. Basically, if you don't know what padding is naming files like this. So that's a 4 padding, and the next one's gonna be 2, and the next one will be 3. So if you want more zeros, most of the time in films, you always start with 1001. So you need at least sometimes padding of 4. Padding of 5 or 6. So you can change this to 6 if you want that. If you want 0, 0, 1, 1, like that. Sometimes you're not gonna render more than 1,000 frames most of the time. So most of the time, 4 it's all right. If you don't assign the that thing, it's gonna be, I think it's gonna be padding of 1. So padding of, yeah, I think padding of 1. So that's another way you can do that. If you middle click here, you can see it's gonna get the name of the node here as well. So this means that if you copy this node and you're gonna render here the, let's say, the walls, and this one you assign the walls that you're gonna render with this node. Let's say I'm gonna render wall 1 and 2. And that's gonna be automatically named as well here. It's gonna get the it's gonna create a folder with this name, and it's gonna create the same name for the files there. All right, so what else can you do with HScript? There's a bunch of stuff, but mostly I use it a lot for rendering stuff and hooking up stuff in nodes. You can also use it to get one really useful thing. If you guys have any questions, please let me know. Let me know. Let me know if you have any questions, guys. The last thing I'm going to mention here about HScript is something that is really useful. Let's say that I have a sphere. There's a bunch of stuff you can do, but right now I'm just touching of some of the most important part, let's say. All right, let's say I have this sphere, and I have Roberto. Oh, I don't have Roberto as a tool. Test Roberto. Okay, but Roberto, it's move, transform. Roberto, it's over here. Now let's move it and see. And my sphere is over here. And for some reason, I want to get this sphere to be in the same place that Roberto is. So you can get the, let's say I need to create a, I don't need to, but I want to create a transform when I do stuff like this. I can get the centroid location of that with the centroid expression, centroid. And it's again expecting a string, which is the name of the node that I want to get. In this case is the transform 1, yes. And then it's expecting a float. You can see here it tells me what it's expecting. And basically the float is 0 is going to get you x, 1 is going to get you y, and 2 is going to get you c. So let's put 0 for the x. And it doesn't move because they are both in the same x coordinate. Then for the other one, it's gonna get y, And then for the third one, it's gonna get C like that. And now you can see the sphere, it's exactly at the same place Roberto is. Let me scale this down a little bit. It's getting the centroid of the object, all right? Hey Cyril, what's up, man? Long time no see. So now if we move Roberto everywhere, it's just that sphere is gonna just ride Roberto. You can see it's mounting Roberto. Woo! It doesn't follow him in the rotation. You can see it's calculating the centroid when it rotates, but it's not actually following the rotation of him. It's just recalculating the centroid and kind of putting it back into his back there. But that's another thing that you use a lot, especially if you do something like, Cyril, they are side effects. It's saying that you shouldn't be using local variables anymore. So $CX, it's like a no-no these days. I don't know, man. I love to use that, but I'm trying to teach the standards. I think so. $CEX is like they're saying you shouldn't be using the old thingies. I don't know. I still use it sometimes, but centroid is the same thing. Okay, so the other thing I wanted to show you here, let's fracture this guy. The fracture. I'm just gonna use the shelf tool. I don't want to do this. All right, so Roberto is fractured like this, and a lot of people want to do this sort of thing, like let's say let's have 100 pieces, and let's visualize the pieces. And we have some pieces of Roberto, and a lot of people want to do stuff with these pieces, like scaling them, rotating them, stuff like that. So what you do for this is you put them to for each. In this case, we don't have the pieces named yet. You can see, we have a name attribute for, we could use name primitive. For name primitive works. Cool. And we can use a transform here inside this for each primitive. And you can see if I go here, we have one primitive. If I want, let's say I want to scale this primitive, it's gonna scale. And if I go to the end, it's like, oh, I expected each primitive to scale individually. Well, you're actually scaling everything by the pivot on the center, which is basically the same as scaling everything. So you can see everyone is scaling from the same pivot, but what you want is actually getting the center of the current piece, which you get here. And you can do that here with the pivot translate, again, using the centroid of 0, 0. So Cyril, that's how I just excuse myself or think that use center, because it's just basically this is the shorthand way of saying this object X. So that's not really that hard to type. It's not that bad to type. And actually I have an issue here. 1 and 2. So now you can see the pivot, it's moved to the piece, to the center of the piece. And let's scale this down actually. And if we see the result of this, you can see now each piece it's being scaled from its own center. Rohan, I don't have a Discord server for my viewers. Sorry. There's so much Discord servers out there. I don't want to create another one. If you just go to the Think Procedural Discord, I'm there. So if you want to talk to me, you can do it there. And there's also a bunch of smart people, way smarter than me there. So I don't know why I should be doing another Discord server. So this way you can do that. You can even rotate each piece. Let's say, let's add random rotation for each piece. Let's say, what should I do? I'm not gonna get a random rotation, but let's just say times 360. Now I need to put something here. So it's trying to rotate the pieces. So you can see this piece is being rotated, but each one is going to be rotated the same thing. So what we can do is create a meta node here, create a meta node. So this node is going to give us the iteration attribute. We can get that here. Let's get it in here. Random, you get that is a detail attribute. So if you go to here, this is failing. We need to put something here. If we go to details and this node details, you can see the iteration, it's an attribute here. So we can get that with the detail expression here inside the random expression. We can call the detail, and the detail expression is going to expect a string to the node, which in this case is this guy. I always like to name this I because it just the way I'm used to. It sounds like programming to me. Get that node, and then what attribute we're going to get? It's called iteration. Iteration or iterations? Iteration, I think. Iteration, yeah. And then what attribute from that? The first attribute, basically. You just put 0 there, and then put enter there. And now each piece it's basically rotated differently. Let's call that. So you can see now each piece has a different rotation in Y. You can see it's evaluating for each piece, doing that thing. Let's see. Alexander Opera, thank you, Alexander. Oh, in the centroid, yeah. Let me explain this. What's happening here in the centroid? Because I didn't explain that. The centroid expects a node here in the first attribute. It's expecting a node. All right. So it's actually expecting you put something like this node, or you go outside this node and get transform 1, something like that. But when you're getting the same node, now they added this shortcut. Instead of saying to pass this node, let's say in this case we're getting from this node we want to get the center of this piece, let's say, of this geometry. Instead of doing this, they just right now they are saying, you can set 0, and that it's basically the same as saying this node. And the second attribute is what attribute you're gonna get. 0, it's gonna be equal to 1, equal to x, not x noise. 1, it's gonna be y, and 2, it's gonna be z. So this is what we're passing here. Instead of, you used to, before it was something like this, but that was kind of convoluted, so they changed it. So just you can use this, or you can use just a number. So basically this is get me the center of this object, the x parameter, it's 0. So that's what's happening here. Also, a difference between this HScript and VEX is that you don't put a semicolon at the end, so that's different. All right, so basically we did all this stuff with just VEX. VEX with all just HScript. So this is all HScript. Accessing attributes for modern nodes, modifying pivots, creating paths to AOVs, to render nodes, paths for shaders, etc. So are there any questions? If not, we can wrap it for today. And before we go, and if while you guys post your questions, I want to remind you to, if you want to support us, please go buy our products. We recently finished the lamp project, and there's a bundle now. You save like $20 if you buy the three. Titles together. The Unreal Engine workflow, it's been really successful. Thank you guys for that. I'm thinking of doing that for Unity as well. And yeah, there's the microfire effects as well. That's pretty cool. That's like 8 hours or more of me doing the whole effects from scratch, which is pretty cool. If you wanna see exactly how I do some of those effects from scratch, that is gonna show you everything there. The fluid solvers, a lot of theory on fluid solvers, and there's a few free courses there. The Pixelator is free, and the Project Manager is free. And the Project Manager, it's basically doing this project manager I have here, which I actually use a lot. Let's see, build and destruction. You can see this shows you your scenes. You can load your scenes from here, etc. All right, so the other thing, the other way you can support us is in Patreon if you want. You can get the our scenes, the scenes from the it's Patreon /patreon.com/mixtraining. You can get the heap files for the Monday tricks I do. All the scenes are there, and other things. I'm actually gonna change this private live stream to giveaways. So I'm gonna give away training each month to one of my Patreons. I'm gonna change this because I have too little time to be doing the private streams. So I'm gonna change this maybe tomorrow. So for $10 you could get a free or very cheap training. All right, so HScript, I think HScript it's still alive. I don't think it's going anywhere soon. Bob, yeah, thank you, Bob. Bob, it's doing the lamp project. I'm not sure if you're done with it. How to set up checkpoint for caching? You just set it in the DOP node, in the DOP network node. There is here. You can save checkpoints here. Just enable that guy and put your name whatever you want, and change how many checkpoints you want. And once if your simulation crashes, you can just get a checkpoint from there, put it here in the initial state, and start from there. Thank you, Cyril. Glad to see you again as well, man. Can you assign HScript to a hotkey directly? No. What you could do is create a tool. And create a tool like this one's, or like let's say like why do I lose my, like you can see I have a bunch of shell tools here. If you edit one of these tools, you can put either Python or HScript here, and then you can assign a shortcut to this key, to this guy. You can see I can assign a shortcut to that. So that's basically how I'm doing this. And you can see in the Redshift shelf, the Redshift guys have created these tools. Create these tools with no, not this one, with HScript. This one, I know this is HScript. You can see this is running an HScript parameter there. And yeah, you can assign hotkeys to this. So that's how one way you could do it. All right, guys. I think that's it for today. Hope you enjoyed this one. I'm sure HScript is gonna be around for a while, unless VEX really gets its stuff together. And but yeah, I think it's pretty useful. Anyway, if HScript still goes away, learning HScript it's a nice step before learning VEX, because VEX it's really a lot more complex, and HScript is really similar to VEX, so it's a nice start before you go to just use VEX directly. So I really recommend you still learn HScript. Well, if you're saying you can add, you can link channels in VEX, but you need to create an attribute VEX node first, that's not helpful. And here in these nodes, you can see the only options you have for scripting is HScript or Python. So let me just bring the parameters here. Here you can see it's HScript or Python. Until there is a VEX option here, Python is not even used that much. So they still need to get VEX here in the parameters itself. Unless it's here, I don't see it going anywhere yet. Python, it's been there for a while and it's barely used in my experience. So yeah, I don't think HScript is going anywhere soon. All right, Rohan, any way to assign a volume glow effect in Redshift? You can't assign a volume, you can't do glows in Redshift. You could fake it, assigning like a material to a volume and fake that as a glow. But now you can't really do that. You could make if you want to make the pyro glowy, tweak the emission of the pyro, the emission parameter in the volume shader. That will make it glow, and then put glow illumination, and that will make it seem like it's glowing. All right, guys, this has been nice. Even if HScript goes away, it's still there. It's still useful, and it's very a really nice tool to know. All right, thank you, Eureka. I will see you guys next week, and thank you for being here. Let's keep learning together. All right, love you guys. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Let me find that button.